Chosen one, you have just crossed an important threshold, even though what lies ahead has not yet been fully revealed before your eyes. I want you to understand that profound transformation does not always arrive with a great noise, extraordinary signs, or the recognition of many people. Sometimes, it begins with a very quiet decision. You stop running from what you know is right, stop clinging to what has wearied your heart, and courageously step toward the light, even though you cannot yet see the entire road. In moments like these, I remain close to you. I also send Archangel Michael, my faithful messenger and steadfast protector, to stand beside those who are learning to walk in courage rather than fear. Michael does not speak in my place, but his presence reminds you that you do not have to fight alone, and that true strength is not found in never feeling afraid, but in continuing to choose what is good, even while your heart is still filled with uncertainty. I want to lead you to look back upon the whole journey you have traveled. Because if you only look at your circumstances today, you may believe that you have not come very far. But I do not see only the results that your eyes can measure. I see every time you chose to rise after disappointment, every moment you remained kind, even when you were misunderstood, and every day you continued doing what needed to be done when no one was there to encourage you. Each of those choices has quietly shaped the person you are becoming. Not one sincere tear has been disregarded. Not one honest effort has been forgotten. Even the seasons that seemed empty taught you how to recognize what truly matters, who genuinely walks beside you, and what you need to release so that you may travel more lightly. What happened was not merely a succession of difficult days. It became a school of patience, discernment, and maturing faith. I know there has been a burden you have carried for a very long time. It is not something that easily disappears, simply because time has passed. There have been days when you awakened feeling as though you were still standing in the same place, while others seemed to have moved far ahead. There have been nights when the room was silent and you sat alone, wondering how much longer you would have to wait before seeing the meaning behind all the effort you had given. You wondered when your sincere prayers would become a tangible change, when the seeds you planted with faithfulness would begin to sprout, and when life would stop making you feel as though you were merely trying to survive. I heard those questions, even when you never spoke them aloud. I do not condemn you for growing weary. I do not regard your moments of weakness as failure. I understand that some roads are so long that even the strongest person needs rest, comfort, and the reminder that they still possess worth even before attaining what they desire. There were seasons when the silence made you believe that I had moved far away. You watched others advance into the very things for which you were still waiting. Someone received the opportunity you once desired. Someone else gained the recognition for which you had quietly worked for so long. Others walked through doors before which you had once stood but had not yet been able to open. These things caused you pain, not because you wanted them to fail, but because you also longed for a clear sign that the years behind you had not been meaningless. Yet, my beloved child, the fact that your journey is different from another person's does not mean you have been left behind. You do not need to turn your life into a race. Some things arrive quickly, but do not endure, while other things are built slowly, so they will be strong enough to support you for many years to come. I am teaching you not to measure your worth by the speed of the person beside you, but by the honesty, compassion, and depth you preserve along your own path. Throughout the years, you have accomplished far more than you realize. You have learned not to allow one rejection to define your entire future. You have learned to step away from relationships that constantly caused you to doubt yourself. You have gradually understood that forgiveness does not mean allowing others to continue hurting you. It means refusing to let the past control the choices you make today. You have practiced saying no to things that eroded your peace, even when doing so initially filled you with guilt. You have begun taking responsibility for the parts of yourself that need to change, instead of merely waiting for circumstances or other people to change first. These are victories that are not always visible, but they are forming a new foundation within you. Strong foundations are usually built in silence before any beautiful structure appears above the ground. Recently, you took a step that was different from the ones you had taken before. Perhaps it appeared very small in the eyes of others. You walked away from something unhealthy, spoke a truth you had once been afraid to express, began again after many delays, sought help, changed a habit, or simply stopped condemning yourself. Yet the meaning of that step is not found in its outward size. It is found in the new motivation growing within you. In the past, you may have acted to prove your worth, to gain acceptance, or to avoid being abandoned. This time, you are learning to act because you understand that your peace, dignity, and future are worthy of protection. You do not need every answer to appear at once before you can continue. You only need enough clarity for the next step, enough honesty to recognize what must change, and enough humility to correct your course when you realize you have gone in the wrong direction. I do not want you to interpret this transformation as a promise that every difficulty will now disappear. Life will still contain unfavorable days, plans that must be revised, and doors that do not open in the way you hoped. What is changing is the way you face these things. You will no longer be so quick to view an obstacle as proof that you are worthless. You will no longer allow one criticism to destroy everything good you have built. You will learn to pause, listen, pray, consider, and choose instead of reacting in panic. Maturity does not make you cold. It enables you to love while maintaining boundaries, to remain gentle without becoming powerless, and to be generous without neglecting your own well-being. When you live this way, outward changes may come in many different forms, but whether they arrive sooner or later, you will no longer depend entirely upon them to know who you are. I also want to lovingly warn you about a pattern that often appears after you begin to change. Doubt will attempt to pull you back toward what is familiar. You may miss a place that once wounded you simply because the new place still feels unfamiliar. You may want to abandon a healthy habit because you have not yet seen quick results. You may hear old words in your mind telling you that you are not good enough, not strong enough, or that everything will eventually fail as it did before. When these voices arise, do not fear them, but do not quickly believe them either. Look at the fruit produced by each thought. Keep whatever leads you toward peace, responsibility, compassion, and wisdom. Gently set down whatever causes you to withdraw into shame, anger, despair, or the desire to hurt yourself or others. You do not need to win every battle in a single day. You only need to continue choosing what is good again and again, my beloved child. What I want you to recognize, after everything you have endured, is not only where you are going, but who you have become. You are no longer someone who merely suffers in silence. and then blames yourself for becoming exhausted. You are becoming someone who knows when to speak, who knows how to rest without shame, who apologizes when wrong, and who walks away when a place continually violates your dignity. You are learning to be grateful without denying your pain, to hope without escaping reality, and to trust while still acting responsibly. You once believed that strength meant never crying, never becoming tired, and never needing anyone. But I am teaching you that strength also means daring to admit that you need healing, daring to receive help, and daring to begin again with a humble heart. Do not underestimate the small steps you take from this day forward. One gentle word can heal a distance that has lasted for years. One decision to forgive can release you from a burden you no longer need to carry. A morning that begins with gratitude can transform the way you see the entire day. One occasion when you keep a promise to yourself can restore trust that was once damaged. Care for your body, your mind, and your inner life with respect. Eat, rest, work, and connect with others in balance. Do not use great ambitions as instruments with which to punish yourself. Let them become invitations to grow day by day. You do not need to become a perfect person before you are worthy of love. You only need to remain honest, willing to learn, and continually return to what is good. And now, I want you to rise with gentle courage. Release the words of condemnation that have followed you for far too long. Return the past to the past, keeping its lessons without continuing to live inside its wounds. Forgive others when you are ready, not to deny what they did, but so that you will no longer remain bound by it. Forgive yourself for the times when you did not yet know how to make better choices, for the days when you were weak, and for the opportunities you missed. From that place of forgiveness, step into a new life with responsibility and awareness. You can change. You can learn how to love again. You can build healthy boundaries, nurture sincere relationships, and help make the world around you warmer and more compassionate. I do not require you to run quickly. I only invite you to walk steadily. Carry gratitude for the fact that you survived things you once believed you could never endure. Carry faith that each day may still contain a new beginning. Carry hope, not as passive waiting, but as a strength that moves you to live kindly, work honestly, and plant goodness in the present moment. When your heart becomes troubled again, return to calm breathing, simple prayer, and the things you are able to do today. I am still here, neither pressuring nor condemning you, but patiently walking beside you. Move forward, not to prove yourself to anyone, but to become the most honest, compassionate, and courageous version of the person you were created to be. Peace will be the place to which you return. Gratitude will be the light you carry, and love will be the road that helps you become steadier with each passing day. My beloved child, the first thing I want you to recognize, after the transition you have just experienced, is not an intense wave of excitement, nor a feeling that every problem has suddenly disappeared, but a deeper stillness that is gradually emerging within you. This stillness is not loud. It does not try to prove anything, nor does it force you to be joyful before you are truly ready. It is like a hand that has remained clenched for too long finally being allowed to open, or a cord that has been stretched in opposite directions for years finally being released. Perhaps you were sitting in the middle of a busy day when you suddenly noticed that the familiar noise within you no longer carried you away as powerfully as before. Perhaps your circumstances had not changed very much, and your responsibilities were still present, yet some part of you had stopped fighting against yourself. I saw that moment. I also sent Archangel Michael, my faithful protector, to stand near those who are stepping out of fear and learning peace again. Michael does not take my place in guiding you, but his presence reminds you that courage does not always sound like thunder. Sometimes, courage is simply the ability to sit quietly, breathe deeply, and refuse to return to a place that once left you depleted. This new stillness may confuse you, because you have become so accustomed to remaining on guard, imagining every possible worst-case scenario, and preparing yourself for something that might happen. For a long time, you lived as though you had to guard every door, control every situation, and solve every problem before it could reach you. Now that the tension is beginning to lessen, you may believe that you are becoming indifferent or losing your motivation. But that is not what is happening. You are simply learning another way to live, not reacting to every sound, not treating every delay as danger, and not interpreting every silence as rejection. Peace does not make you weaker. Peace helps you see more clearly. When your heart is no longer pulled violently in every direction by anxiety, you begin to recognize what truly needs your attention, and what is merely an old habit, attempting to return you to a familiar state of tension. The next sign you may notice is that your tolerance for what no longer aligns with you has changed. Conversations you once reluctantly endured may suddenly feel heavy. Places that once felt familiar may now cause you to realize how much you have had to diminish yourself in order to remain there. Certain relationships may not necessarily have become worse, but you have begun to see clearly the price you were paying to maintain them in the old way. You no longer want to smile while your heart is wounded. You no longer want to agree merely to avoid conflict. You no longer want to play the role of someone who is pleasant for everyone while you slowly disappear. This does not mean you must become cold, arrogant, or quick to cut people out of your life. I want you to learn the difference between loyalty and abandoning yourself, between compassion and continually allowing your boundaries to be violated. Some things fit you well during a former season, but now they resemble clothing that has become too tight. That clothing may once have protected you, helped you adapt, and made you feel that you belonged somewhere. Therefore, when it is time to remove it, you may experience sorrow. You may miss the days when everything seemed simpler, even when that simplicity was purchased by remaining silent about what hurt you. Do not blame yourself for still having affection for something you need to leave behind. Growth does not erase memory. It simply teaches you not to allow memory to determine your future. You can be grateful for a place that once supported you, while still acknowledging that it is no longer a place where you can continue to grow. You can love someone while maintaining necessary distance. You can forgive without returning to old patterns. This is how compassion walks together with wisdom, and it is also how you protect the peace I am teaching you to preserve. I do not demand that you understand every turn in the road before you dare to begin walking, because many journeys become clear only after you have courageously moved forward. If you continue waiting until every question has been answered, every risk has disappeared, and everyone agrees with you, you may remain trapped in a place that appears safe, but is slowly causing you to become smaller each day. What you need is not the complete light of tomorrow, but enough clarity for today's decision. Sometimes the nearest step is simply speaking a truth you have hidden for too long. Sometimes It is ending a habit that has been eroding your peace. Sometimes it is approaching a trustworthy person and admitting that you can no longer carry everything alone. These things may appear small in the eyes of the world, but I see their value. I do not look only at accomplishments that impress others. I see how you preserve kindness when no one recognizes it, how you face your mistakes without destroying yourself, and how you continue doing what is right, even when you receive no immediate reward. Every sincere step is leading you away from former chaos and closer to the person you were created to become. You do not need to change everything in one day. A great door is often opened by many small keys. An apology spoken at the right moment, a morning when you choose to rise and begin again, a decision to rest before becoming exhausted, or a moment when you refuse to answer, hurt with more hurt. When these choices are repeated with awareness, they form a new direction. You may not see your life change immediately, but a different foundation is already being formed within you. That foundation will help you resist being pulled back by temporary emotions, unloving judgments, or expectations that were never meant for you. Then you will notice that you no longer feel compelled to explain every decision to everyone. In the past, you spent too much time trying to make others understand why you needed to change, why you had to leave a particular environment, and why you could no longer accept behavior that had once been called normal. You believed that if you explained yourself clearly enough, gently enough, and patiently enough, everyone would eventually see what you saw. Yet, my beloved child, not everyone is willing to understand a change that causes them to lose control over you. Some people are comfortable only with the version of you who always gives in, always remains silent, and always places their needs above your own peace. When you begin to grow, they may say that you have changed. That does not automatically mean you are wrong. Sometimes, it simply means you have stopped performing a role that kept you exhausted for far too long. I am not teaching you to become stubborn, closed-minded, or dismissive of correction. True stability always walks together with humility. You still need to listen to people who love you with honesty. You still need to examine your actions and courageously make changes when you realize you have hurt someone. But listening does not mean handing the steering wheel of your life to someone else. When you have reflected calmly, considered your responsibilities, and weighed the possible consequences, you do not need the permission of the entire world to choose what is healthy. You may respect someone's advice while still deciding to take another direction. You may disagree without insulting them. You may leave a discussion when you know that speaking further will only drive both sides farther apart. Maturity is sometimes revealed most clearly when you no longer need to win every conversation. I am placing beneath your feet a quiet confidence. It does not need to boast, attempt to make others appear inferior, or hide your weaknesses. It simply helps you know the values upon which you stand. When you have that foundation, you will no longer rise and fall with every word of praise or criticism. You may feel sorrow when misunderstood, without betraying what you know is right. You may feel uncertain about a new road, without returning to the place that wounded you, simply because it is familiar. Archangel Michael, my faithful messenger and protector, reminds you through the image of courage that strength is not the power to force others to accept you, but the ability to remain upright through days when no one yet understands your decisions. Michael stands only in his role as protector and executor of my will. I remain the one who leads you step by step through love, patience, and peace. Do not be quick to call this season chaotic, simply because you feel unfamiliar to yourself. When a room is being rearranged, there is often a period when everything appears more disorderly than before. Old belongings have been brought out, but you have not yet decided what should remain and what should be released. New space has appeared, but it has not yet been filled. Your life is the same. You no longer fully belong to your old way of living, yet you are not yet accustomed to the freedom and responsibility of your new one. This place in between may make you impatient. You may desire a great sign that will assure you that you are not lost. But I invite you to look at the smaller changes. You now know how to breathe before responding to a hurtful word. You can recognize an emotion without allowing it to control you. You dare to say that you deserve respect, and you are beginning to pay attention to your health, your rest, and the relationships that nurture goodness within you. These are not insignificant things. They are evidence that a new order is being established from within. The step you have just taken has not only opened another chapter, it is also the result of many years of quiet preparation. Imagine a great tree standing tall in the wind. Passers-by see its leaves, its spreading branches, and its fruit. But few think about the part that lies deep beneath the ground. Before the tree can stand firmly, its roots must find their way through dark layers of soil, push between stones, and reach deeply toward a source of water. During all that time, nothing remarkable may appear above the ground. An impatient observer may assume that the seed has lost its life. Yet it is in the place no one can see that the most important work is being done. The tree's endurance is not determined by its outward beauty, but by the depth of what was built in silence. Your years have also formed roots like these. Rejection taught you not to place your entire worth in whether other people choose you. Seasons of loneliness forced you to learn how to become a kind companion to yourself instead of waiting for someone else to fill every empty space. Your mistakes humbled you and taught you compassion for those who are trying to rebuild their lives. Your losses softened your heart toward the pain of others, even the days that seemed unremarkable. When you worked, cared for your family, fulfilled your responsibilities, kept your promises, and continued choosing what was good, were days when your roots grew deeper. Not all growth can be captured in a photograph or described through an accomplishment. Some changes are seen only when a powerful wind arrives, and you realize that you are no longer as easily overthrown as you once were. I know you wished the fruit had appeared sooner. You asked why you had worked for so long without seeing results equal to your effort. Yet a large crown of branches that grows too quickly above shallow roots will easily be torn down by the first storm. I am not saying that every delay carries a special meaning, nor do I want you to use faith as an excuse for passivity. There are times when you must rise, learn a new skill, revise a plan, seek guidance, or bring an end to procrastination. Faith does not replace responsibility. Faith gives you the strength to act without being paralyzed by fear. What I want you to understand is this: the fact that you have not yet seen the result does not mean that nothing is being built. Your discernment, your ability to recognize what is unhealthy, your courage to apologize, your determination to begin again, and your wisdom not to pursue every glittering opportunity are deep treasures that no one can easily take from you. Therefore, do not despise the quiet seasons. Do not look at another person's achievements and conclude that you have failed. You do not know what they have endured, just as they cannot see all the work that has taken place within you. Comparing another person's branches and leaves to your own roots will only cause you to lose gratitude for your unique journey. Care for the soil of your life through sincere choices. Keep your word when you are able. Acknowledge honestly when you cannot. Work with devotion. Rest before you become exhausted. And spend time with people who help you become kinder. Pay attention to your words, because one uncontrolled sentence can damage something that took years to build. Pay attention to what you nurture in your mind, because what you repeatedly receive will gradually become the way you see the world. Uproot the roots of bitterness through forgiveness. Forgiveness does not mean declaring that wrongdoing never occurred, nor does it mean reopening the door to someone who has not learned to respect your boundaries. Forgiveness is the decision, not to allow the wound to continue controlling your attitude and your future. You can remember the lesson without carrying hatred. You can protect yourself without wishing suffering upon another person. You also need to forgive yourself. You made choices according to the understanding you possessed at that time. There were occasions when you stayed too long, moments when you remained silent, even though you needed to speak, and decisions you wish you could change. But self-condemnation cannot repair the past. What can transform the future is honesty, responsibility, and the determination to live differently, beginning today. Let pain become your teacher, but do not turn it into your dwelling place. Keep the lesson and release the shame. You do not need to punish yourself continually in order to prove that you are sorry. Sincere change is revealed through the way you live now, through your willingness to repair what can be repaired. Apologize when an apology is needed, and refuse to repeat what has wounded you or others. Every day you choose a better way of living is another day in which you are rewriting the direction of your life. The past may explain a part of who you are, but it has no right to determine completely who you will become. Stand firmly in the new peace you are beginning to feel. Do not rush to prove to anyone that you have grown. Allow your patience, your behavior, and your daily choices to speak on your behalf. When you are tired, rest without calling yourself weak. When you are wrong, make amends without drowning in shame. When you receive something good, rejoice and be grateful, without believing yourself to be greater than others. When you have not yet seen results, continue planting seeds of kindness with a discerning mind. Growth does not mean never stumbling. It means possessing the ability to rise without carrying bitterness. Adjust your direction and continue with greater understanding. You are entering a season that does not require dramatic declarations in order to be meaningful. Its value will be revealed through a life that is more honest, healthy, and responsible. Let peace become your compass, gratitude become your breath, forgiveness become the door of release, and love become the way you treat both yourself and others. Courageously leave what has become too restrictive, but do not leave in hatred. Walk toward what is good, but do not despise those who are still struggling along an older path. Move forward without racing. You do not need to surpass anyone else. You only need to overcome the limitations that have kept you from living according to your kindness, dignity, and faith. I remain beside you in every small step and through every ordinary day. When you do not know what to do next, return to what is simple, what is honest, what is responsible, what nourishes peace, and what prevents you from harming yourself or others. Then choose the nearest step. Do not fear a road that is not yet complete. Many beautiful things are formed while you are walking, learning, and making adjustments. Your roots are deeper than you believe. The foundation within you is stronger than it was before. Therefore, move toward the light with gentle courage, gratitude for the journey behind you, and determination to become better each day. You do not need to be perfect in order to begin. You only need to be honest, willing to change, and committed to choosing love instead of fear, hope instead of bitterness, and peace instead of battles that are no longer worthy of your heart.